Hello, and welcome to the Purpose and Power podcast, where we will discuss female athletes that play with a purpose and commercials that hold power. I am your host, Caroline Mattice. This week, we will be discussing the women who ref and coach men's sports. Lately, we saw that Sarah Thomas was the first female to officiate an NFL playoff game. Here are 5 other women who have officiated men's sports. Violet Palmer officiated NBA. Bernice Guerra was the first female umpire in the MLB in 1972, and there has not been another female umpire since. Heather McDaniel in the NHL, Lauren Holtkamp, NBA, and Felicia Mariscal in the MLS. Women are not just finding themselves in officiating positions in men's sports, we're also seeing more female coaches and administrators at all levels of men's sports, but there is still a long way to go. Here to talk about females who have dominated their roles in men's sports is my good friend, Sophia Lewin. Sophia was a student assistant coach at Monmouth University, a Division I school in New Jersey. Welcome, Sophia.
Thanks for having me, Caroline.
What prompted you to get involved with football and wanting to be a coach, and what are some of the women that now today that you see in the NFL or other men's professional sports that you can really look up to?
Sure. Well, I started wanting to be a football coach at kind of a young age. I would say maybe 9 or 10. And at the time, there weren't any female coaches that I knew of, but I didn't really care.
Did you ever play it or just like casually?
I'd never played football other than like playing catch in the street or something like that, or flag football. But I played tons of other sports. I played baseball on an all-boys team for 8 years. I played basketball and street hockey and softball eventually in high school, and tons of sports, but I never played football because I never thought of it as necessarily something that I could do, which kind of sounds sad now, but I was playing tons of other sports, so it wasn't a big deal in my mind. But I'd always wanted to be a football coach. Sorry. I'd always wanted to be a football coach, and then when I was looking at colleges, it was really important for me to look at colleges that I felt had a growing football program that I could genuinely be a part of and, leave my mark. And it was the summer before my freshman year of college that Dr. Jen Welter, was hired by the Arizona Cardinals to work their training camp. And she was the first female coach in the NFL. And that kind of, talk about a launching point, that inspired me so much through college. And I'm happy to say that there are tons more women that have been involved with the NFL, have been involved with the American Alliance of Football that exists now. So
even today, this morning, I think you posted about the 49ers coach, right?
Right. Katie Sowers has been a receiver's assistant now with the 49ers for 2 years, I want to say, and she's going into her 3rd year. And, she always posts, inspirational things, and I just feel like I know a lot about the football community. I know a lot about women in football, but not a ton of other people do. So I think it's important now that I do have people to look to, and I do have a community of people, that I share that with other people, because I didn't have that even 3 years ago. I didn't have other women in my circle of people, and though I've never met her, it's just nice to be able to look at someone and be like, oh, I identify with you because we share whatever in common.
And we know that most women's coaches coach women's sports, but how important do you think it is to really make that transition for women to coach men's sports?
I think it's important that we have diverse coaches because it brings diversity of thought, and teams and groups and organizations are better when you have different people sitting at the table and different people offering up ideas to make decisions. And we've seen very successful women's teams benefit from having a diverse coaching staff. We see that in women's college basketball all the time, of several different coaches from entirely different backgrounds. And I don't think we question whether or not a man is qualified to coach a women's game because he's not a woman, but we very quickly look to judge a woman based on her body, based on the way that she looks, whether or not she can coach a man's game. And I don't think that necessarily should be the case, because there are plenty of women coaches and female coaches that are qualified, that are intelligent and know the game, and they deserve that opportunity, and they just aren't given that because of fear, because of ignorance, because of the institution in itself is not allowing for the space.
So what do you think, like, personally, what's your next step to really accomplishing your goal of coaching in football at a high level?
I've been applying like crazy, and it's about that. And I'm really happy with the last 4 years and what I've given to this Monmouth program. I know there's an opening here at the same position that I've been working with for the last 3 years. It'd be an honor to come back and work with that group because they respect me and I respect them, and we already have a family in that room, and it'd be awesome. But, I understand that things don't always work out in that same way, so I'm definitely still looking, and I know that one day I'll get my opportunity, I'll get my chance. It just takes one person to say yes. That's how I came here. That's how I was able to work in high school. And the truth is that the people that have opened doors for me are men. And I'm grateful for them. I'm not saying that, only women can do this at all. I think, it just takes diversity of thought and diversity of people and the willingness to give people a chance. And I hope someone takes a chance on me because I've worked really, really hard for it. I'm not afraid to say that.
Well, thank you so much. I definitely respect you as a friend, and I think you're going to do a great job coaching. We really all look forward to seeing you on the sidelines in the future. So thank you, Sophia, for joining me today.
Thanks, Caroline.
Be sure to tune in next week when we will talk about some of the most successful female Olympians. Check out the Purpose and Power posts that correspond with today's podcast, Reffing the Game and Female Leaders. Thank you for listening to the Purpose and Power podcast, a podcast about sportswomen brought to you by sportswomen.